Thomas Paine, February 9, 1737–June 8, 1809, used to be an influential thinker, author and logician and a key parent in British radicalism. His writings had been influential in the French and American revolutions. Paine additionally embodied the spirit of the Enlightenment. "I view matters as they are, barring regard to region or person. My USA is the world, and my faith is to do good." Thomas Paine. Early lifestyles. Thomas Paine. Paine used to be born in Thetford to distinctly humble origins. For a time he was once apprenticed in his father's corset business. He then spent time working in an excise workplace in Grantham, Lincolnshire, and later Lewes, East Sussex. In 1771, he married his first wife, Elizabeth Olive. Around this period, Thomas Paine grew to become increasingly more involved in neighborhood political matters. He used to be concerned in a neighborhood vestry church which accumulated taxes and tithes to distribute to the poor. In 1772, Paine grew to become energetic in a marketing campaign to press for higher working practices for excise obligation workers. This led to his first e-book, The Case of the Officers of the Excise. After being pushed aside from work and narrowly warding off debtors' prison, through promoting his family goods, Paine left for London and, after assembly and impressing Benjamin Franklin, he left for America below the patronage of Franklin. It used to be in America that Paine grew to become a family identify through his e-book of a progressive pamphlet, Common Sense. It was once a name for American independence based totally on a simply Republican government. "Oh, ye that love mankind, ye that dare oppose no longer solely tyranny, however the tyrant, stand forth. Every spot of the old world is overrun with oppression. Freedom hath been hunted spherical the globe. Asia and Africa have lengthly expelled her. Europe regards her like a stranger, and England hath given her warning to depart. Oh, acquire the fugitive and put together in time an asylum for mankind." Thomas Paine, Common Sense, 1776. It grew to be a first-class vendor and was once influential in putting the tone of the American independence movement. Paine's thoughts had been now not special, but he had had the ability to popularize thoughts in easy however superb language. During the struggle of independence, George Washington frequently studied out the writings of Paine, from his crisis pamphlet series, to encourage his men. Without the pen of Paine, the sword of Washington would have been wielded in vain. Attributed to John Adams. Paine's subsequent top-notch influential work used to be his pamphlet The Rights of Man, written in 1790 even as residing in London. Paine used to be an outstanding supporter of the French Revolution. He noticed the revolution as a necessary response in opposition to the tyranny of kings and monarchy. Paine was once excited at the prospect of Republican beliefs of liberty, fraternity and egalite. The Rights of Man used to be written in response to an assault through Maine conservative author Edmund Burke, who wrote the fundamental pamphlet Reflections on the Revolution in France. The Rights of Man used to be an effective defense of character liberty and consultant democracy. In many ways, Paine used to be a long way in advance of his time. He went on to write about the necessity for authorities to provide complete welfare aid for the poorest in society. Despite help from fellow intellectuals such as William Blake and Mary Wollstonecraft, for the duration of the Napoleonic Wars, there was once a developing marketing campaign towards the radicalism of Paine. Paine's Rights of Man led to his indictment for seditious libel, and this pressured Paine out of Great Britain. A concerted marketing campaign in opposition to Paine used to be high quality in making him a determinant of hate or at least suspicion, aside from all however his most loyal supporters. With the introduction of the Napoleonic Wars, the environment of nationalism intensified the suspicion of all people with radical sympathies, and Paine more and more was once considered as an outcast in Great Britain. It used to be possibly ironic that Paine later became on Napoleon, after Napoleon's strikes in the direction of dictatorship. Paine described him as the completest charlatan that ever existed. This was once notwithstanding Napoleon as soon as claiming he slept with a reproduction of Paine's Rights of Man below his pillow. In 1797, Paine had even written an essay on how Napoleon may also invade Britain. Another irony for Paine was once that, as one of the most enthusiastic supporters of the French Revolution, he solely narrowly prevented the guillotine in Robespierre's reign of terror. Along with George Washington and Benjamin Franklin, Paine was once granted honorary French citizenship and elected to the National Convention. He used to be in full help of the French Republic but, to the shock of many adversarial, the execution of Louis XVI, arguing in precept it would be higher to exile him to the U.S. The hassle for Paine arose with the ascendancy of Robespierre. In their increasingly more repressive regime, Paine, alongside with different Girondins, have been arrested and imprisoned in December 1793. Paine's mobile used to be marked for his execution. It was once solely his unwell fitness and a combine of which spared him from the guillotine. After the fall of Robespierre, Paine was once released, after turning into more and more disappointed with Napoleon's regime. Paine again to the U.S. at the invitation of President Jefferson. During his imprisonment in France, Paine started out one of his most controversial works of the era. His work The Age of Reason used to be a stark criticism of Christianity and the position of faith in people's lives. Paine made a case for a deist trust machine, a private relationship with God, barring the interference of priest and organized religions. I do no longer consider in the creed professed via the Jewish Church, through the Roman Church, with the aid of the Greek Church, by way of the Turkish Church, by means of the Protestant Church, nor through any church that I recognize of. My personal thinking is my very own church, the Age of Reason. Such a faith was once to some extent shared through some of the founding fathers such as Thomas Jefferson. But, in the early 19th century, a revival of spiritual fervor made his function more and more unpopular in the mass of society. The ultimate years of his existence noticed and growing quantity of former buddies and supporters flip towards him, for example, George Washington. Thomas Paine died in 1809, mourned by means of few at the time. Robert G. Ingersoll wrote, Thomas Paine had handled the legendary restriction of life. One with the aid of one most of his historical pals and friends had abandoned him, maligned on each and every side, execrated, shunned and abhorred, his virtues denounced as vices, his offerings forgotten, his character blackened. He preserved the poise and stability of his soul. He was once a sufferer of the people. However, his convictions remained unshaken. Thomas Paine has been a lasting idea for secular humanism, deist beliefs, and was once additionally an idea to later radicals and socialists.